Yes, welcome my wonderful people, my beautiful nurses from everywhere around the world. I've been thinking of migrating to Australia through different visa pathways. You've been putting in efforts, and for some reasons, the pathway that we felt were very helpful in the time past has become excruciatingly expensive and unbelievingly time consuming. And do I have reasons to hug Ahpra guys at this particular point in time, and the guys in the Ministry of Health? We are also our Albanese, the Prime Minister of our country down under, for this beautiful news that I'm going to share with you guys. Of course, I know some of you have heard of it from some places, but I'm going to add some tits and bits to it so that you start just running with the news. Yeah, so the vision is for an appointed time, and the appointed time is now. So you have to start running with your vision, because when it is March year 2025, then there will be a paradigm shift. Everything will now change for the better, and so I can see everything turning around, see everything turning around, see everything turning around for our good. So, if you are one of those people that used to attend Power Must Change Hands in MFM, you will know that song very, very well. So, everything now is turning around for our good, and power is actually changing hands at this particular point in time. Am I pained that New Zealand will possibly be losing some customers or many customers? I'm not pained at all, because I would have wished these guys had stayed on their lane and continued chopping their money, cleaning their mouth with so much ease. Then there possibly it wouldn't have been this kind of a thing. But you see, when people chop belly full and they want to chop extra, sometimes it doesn't go easy that way when you are becoming gluttonous. I'm not saying that New Zealand Board of Nursing was gluttonous, but I want to say that all the changes they made in recent times were really very much unnecessary, because maybe they've been seeing 5 or 6 people registering in a time, and they just said, just saw influx, and they said, okay, let's change things and make things more financially rewarding for ourselves and make things tougher for people to come. But here it is, there are people who are on their knees day in day out praying to God to answer their prayers, and see this God that we serve, evidence full everywhere, testimony full everywhere, that our God never fails. It doesn't fail. It's still in that business of listening to people's cry, their heart cries, listening to people who are groaning in pains, and then, yes, and working with them and working on what they are asking him to work on for them. And so this is exactly what is going to happen to people as Ahpra changes the register, or add 2 other pathways to the registration pathway for nurses who want to come over and practice in Australia. Honestly, this kind of information is actually music to my ears, because at every point in time, I'm a carrier of good news. And so I love carrying good news in the morning, in the noon, and at night. What actually gave birth to this change in the process? There has been a study that by year 2030, if the rate at which nurses are leaving the profession in Australia, which is actually happening everywhere around the world, but the projection is that if nurses keep leaving this profession in Australia, by year 2030, Australia will be in shortage of about 123,000 nurses. And please, before 2030, count yourself in among those people, those nurses who would have possibly made their ways down to the country down under, if this place is where you desire. And I make it bold to tell you that this place is a beauty to behold, is lovely to reside in. The people are kind, the work environment is lovely, not toxic like some places that we know. The pay is not extra juicy. Yeah, so the said shortages are very prominent in the regional and rural areas, and really because people, when they stay on this side of the country, at some point may want to move closer to the central cities where there could be more hustlings and bustlings. And that's why some people do leave the rural areas. We know how it happened back in Nigeria in the days of Dr. Kuti, and Nigerian nurses still smelling it. We are still smelling the effect, the impact till date. But yeah, that's not the history or the information for today. So in March, Ahpra and NMBI will be rolling out this process, additional two processes to the processes we've had before. And so the additional processes will involve two groups of people, nurses who are working in comparable jurisdictions to what nursing practice in Australia is, and for nurses that still require regulatory examination. So you have these two groups, two new pathways added to the pathways we already had before. So what happens to those nurses who are in comparable jurisdictions? One thing again is those comparable jurisdictions, they've added Spain into it. In the past few years, we had United Kingdom, we had Ireland, we had United States of America, we had Canada, and even Canada is still some part of them, not all the provinces. We just have the British Columbia and Ontario that they are considering to be in comparable jurisdiction, even till this moment. And Singapore, then Spain. In the days of the old, I think we had South Africa there. So I don't know what has happened to my darling, our darling South Africa, that is always trying to choke Nigerian people. Maybe it's payback time for you guys from Ahpra, but it's not anything to joke about. I hope, and I'm thinking maybe that's sort of so an overlook from somewhere. Maybe they overlook that, or whatsoever. But whatever the reasons, we should know that these people that are in these jurisdictions, in the first pathway that we are going to talk about, those people, they just need to have had 1,800 hours of practice, whether you are coming from other countries to work in those jurisdictions. So far you've been registered in your home country, you need 1,800 hours of experience in such countries to be eligible to move into pathway 1. So you need 1,800 hours in the last 5 years of practice in any of those countries and registration from your home country to present to Ahpra when the new pathway kicks off in March. And you will not need at this particular point in time to write any examination. You know, before you need to take NCLEX, then you come down to take OSCE, which is 4,000 Australian dollars. And if someone fails one, then you have to pay the whole money all over again and take the whole examinations all over again, and then you need to write NCLEX, which is quite expensive, and you can't even find centers in some places like that. But I believe that in these jurisdictions you possibly will find centers, but there are people who possibly finding the money for OSCE is a big deal. And for that, people, we've been using the New Zealand pathway in this time, or at this time. But then that pathway, I must tell you, is not easy, because New Zealand will do you will need to contact CGFNS. In this new process, you're going to just not need all those long processes again. New Zealand is not doing their own assessment directly. Ahpra is doing their own direct assessment, which is good. You have like one-to-one contact, whether virtually or in whatever capacity, with Ahpra. You don't need a middleman. And I think New Zealand should just buckle up and up their game, because I don't know why it should be difficult for them to assess nurses that are coming to their own country, and they will need third party in far away United States of America to be assessing documents for them. I'm not saying they are lazy, but it's appearing to me as like some people are just not doing some things that they should be doing. It's not proper to me, and so you have to send document down to CGFNS, pay CGFNS, something you should have done straight up. I don't know their reasons for doing that. Maybe they will have to go and have a round table discussion again and look at how they can bring their things back home to themselves. Anyway, let's leave that to them, as there are cups of teas at this moment. So you will not have to do all that. You will not have to start struggling. You, of course, you still do your police clearance, but you will not have to start struggling, as at the time you are struggling for that with New Zealand, and you start thinking, will it have expired by the time I need it for Australia? So you are good to go on this part. So I think this new process is really money saving. It's time saving too, because that process that used to be like 2 years before, now you submit your document to CGFNS. CGFNS is assessing them. They take till the eternity, and when they finish, they pass it to New Zealand board. New Zealand board will now tell you that you should be expecting a case officer to reach back to you in 5 to 6 months. When you are done with that, now you will now start the process of trans-Tasmania mutual relationship pathway registration. There are lots of time being wasted, but this new process that has been upgraded in digital form, well digitalized, will relieve you of the stress of waiting for about 2 years to get your registration. So let's say up and down, 6 to 8 months, you should have your Ahpra registration in your wallet. And so to me, it's beautiful. And so the lots of documentation that waste time, you will definitely reduce them. So let's say you will have to boycott going to nursing council twice to do verification, because your verification will just be once to Ahpra, and you possibly can request Ahpra to share your information with NMBA, because your verification may likely still be very much viable by the time Ahpra would have issued you your registration, which if you have taken the CGFNS pathway, there is no way your verification will still be viable by the time they are done. So it's beautiful all the way around to me. And for the guys in the second pathway, those who will still need regulatory examination, there will definitely, after you've done your assessment, there will be a comprehensive regulatory examination that will assess your clinical competence and theoretical knowledge. Maybe possibly still the Iens and OSCE pathway, but we are trying to see what it's going to be when they eventually roll it out in March. We are not yet sure, but we are thinking they might possibly make things much more easier, or bring down maybe centers closer to some places, because that's actually the best way I think they can do it. Bring sites closer, maybe bring a site to Africa, bring a site to, just name any area they want, to India, or so many things like that. We see what they want to do, or possibly do it like UK was doing it, or UK has been doing it. Ensure people pass the first examination, which is computer based, which is possibly Iens, and say, okay, get work, come here, then we help you with adaptation and settling in, then you take the examination. I think that would be the most brilliant thing that Ahpra and NMBI would do if they think of doing it this way. I'm thinking if they are bringing it out this way, they are possibly reasoning the way I'm reasoning, making things easier. They've possibly gone to site study United Kingdom, and at this time again, I need to off my hat for NMC United Kingdom. They are doing a very brilliant job with helping nurses, settling nurses, especially with registration and adaptation. It's only that water does pass Gary for UK NMC as it is. It's not a funny matter, but we need to respect them. They are the mother end that is actually favoring everyone going everywhere around the world. Thank you guys, but just do a bit more to make your nurses stable, so that after you've labored so much, people will not be running skeletal everywhere. Okie dokie. Hopefully someone in NMC will get that information. So there will be reduced waiting times and reduced administrative burdens, which is beautiful. Then there will be expanded list of comparable jurisdictions, like I've mentioned to you, and there will be more opening doors of opportunities. Like I said, while you are going through your registration, which wasn't the way before, you can start looking for a job, and once everything just kicks in together, then you will be good to go. And there will be faster integration into the Australian healthcare system. Australian Healthcare Society has its own difference. Even if you are coming from any part of the world, there are still some things you need to get into their nitties and the gritties, especially if you are managing a ward, a hospital, and all those things. So they'll start contributing to the healthcare system quickly when you come in, and you gain valuable Australian work experiences much earlier than it used to be before, and you'll be able to establish yourself well in a professional and in the new environment. There will be wider job opportunities for people. Like I said, you can apply while you are passing through your registration. Then you can look into different opportunities in the healthcare industry in Australia. We will no longer be limited into just coming to work on the ward. You can. So those who are practitioners in, let's say, in the UK, like you're a nurse practitioner, there will be pathway for you to be able to convert your registration to step in here too. You will be supported into doing that. It's not different from, okay, you were already a practitioner, you get in here and you're unable to move into that role, because that's actually one of the things that is stopping some of the people that should be here. They are already established, they are already practitioners. If Australia can just have a way of bringing in their trainings and experiences in and just granting them endorsement, then we possibly will have more people doing what people should be doing on ground positively. So to me, and I think it will be less capital intensive. It's a very, very brilliant idea altogether to me. And I congratulate you guys once again. And put in mind, if I want to tell you, if I'm to encourage you on what you should be doing now, I will be looking at you start pulling your English test together, because you still need that at some point, especially for your visa application. Put your English together, since the registration is not going to take till thy kingdom comes. Then you should be your English language test ready, whether Iens, whether OET, whether Pearson test of English, Cambridge advanced examination, anyone, TOEFL. You can look at the myriads of English that they are using to do migration for Australia. For people who might possibly need English language for the process, like those who are not going to be from the jurisdictions we've mentioned, you possibly may need to look into IELTS, OET, and Pearson test of English, and you need band 7 in IELTS across the 4 modules. You need 350 across the 4 modules in OET, and in Pearson test of English, you need 65 points across the 4 modules. You can actually club your reports, and they must just be written within 6 months interval, not outside 6 months interval, and none of the modules must be less than 6.5 in the reports you are clubbing. So please take all those things to heart and start working on everything. I wish you success. I can't wait to hug you in any of the airports you'll be touching base in here. Whether e-hug, whether virtual hug, whether face-to-face hug, or whether just a shout out, I'll be very glad to see you are here, enjoying the sunlight, enjoying the sunshine. And that way, I will reduce the number of sunshine and sunlight I'm selling to my UK colleagues. So let's pull all these things together, and we believe that everything will work together for you. Like in the days of old, the old system gives you multi-step processes. The new one gives you streamlined 2-pathway approach. And registration in the old system takes up to 2 years in some cases. Here it will just be up to 12 months maximum, all of that is being equal. including potential bridging courses fees in the old system, which will no longer be there in this new process. And there were limited additional assessments for maybe specialties in the old, but now there will be more recognition of people who are already in specialties, and I think it's a very, very brilliant one. Also, in the days past, the pathway was limited to the nurse's willingness to navigate the complex process, but this time around it is much more accessible to nurses who are in the jurisdictions that we've mentioned. So we believe this one will help us. We'll not be losing out so many nurses, and possibly this will help to reset the clock in New Zealand, and they will be able to know that once you are on a pathway that people love and they are ticking your clock for you, you should not just leave that pathway. Don't let greed take over. Thank you guys. See you soon next in Australia. Bye.